Welcome back to the Kosi Arsenal channel. My name is Kosi. Welcome back to a brand new video. Arsenal are prepared to give Rodrygo a lucrative offer to sign him this summer. Arteta has been working in the pipelines, in the corridors, trying to ascertain the kind of offer that would lure Rodrygo to Arsenal, and Arsenal are willing to give him a huge salary. Can we get Rodrygo done? Madrid are looking at Nico Williams as a potential replacement for Rodrygo if he leaves this summer. And of course, Madrid is saying they can trigger the release clause of the player if Xabi Alonso wishes to. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. There is kind of a domino happening. Rodrygo to Arsenal, Nico Williams to Real Madrid. Is that something you would love to see happening? A few people online are saying that they wouldn't really mind if Rodrygo crosses over to Arsenal and then Nico Williams crosses over to Real Madrid. But of course, financially, the Nico Williams deal is still a much better deal. I want your thoughts. I want your opinions in the comment box below. Would you take Rodrygo over Nico Williams? Would you be okay if Nico goes to Madrid and Madrid gives us Rodrygo as well? So let's get into it. Let's start off with the report from the Marca that Arsenal have been trying to ascertain the financial package that it would take to bring Rodrygo to the Emirates Stadium. And Arteta has been using intermediaries across Europe to try and understand what is it really that Rodrigo and his camp would need. Now, this would be a very heavy deal in terms of personal terms. The player is already earning 202,000 per week. That is at Real Madrid. 200k per week at Real Madrid. If Arsenal to sign him, definitely he would be coming in as a superstar. He would need superstar status. He would need superstar wages. And maybe Arsenal make him one of the most paid players at the club at maybe 300k, 280k, about there. Now, of course, that wouldn't be a problem. Arsenal have got some money. We are in the UEFA Champions League. We are making some player sales and we are letting some players go as well. But 300k for Rodrygo in the same summer when you're giving Saka 300k, in the same summer where Saliba could be getting 300k, and of course in at about the same period of time that Kai Havertz and Declan Rice are also getting about 250k. That's a lot of money at at Arsenal. Of course, it shows how the club has progressed. It shows how Arsenal become a little bit more serious and a better team altogether. So the financial package would have to be big, right? And of course, this makes the deal a little bit easier for Arsenal. I don't think there's so many clubs out there that are willing to give Rodrygo about 280, 300k this summer. Maybe Bayern. We are told that Bayern are interested. Maybe Bayern, maybe I don't know, Manchester City. Those are the two clubs I can think about that can match the 200k the player is earning at the moment and even better it. But for Arsenal at the moment, they're looking to give him a lucrative offer. If that means making him one of the most paid players at Arsenal, we don't know yet. But the offer has to be bigger than 200k that is earning at Real Madrid. Now, Madrid is saying they don't have a problem with selling Rodrygo, but they have to get it from the manager, Xabi Alonso. If you've followed Madrid for some time, they usually do that. If they want to let go of a player, it's the manager at the moment to decide whether that player is going to be key and important to their upcoming project, or they're not going to be important. The same thing happened with Mark Odegaard, with Carlo Ancelotti. He told him, look, listen, son, you're a very good player, very good talent, but I want you to go elsewhere and play football. You're not going to be part of my team. You're not going to be, you're not what I need. And he was let go to Arsenal and is now captain at Arsenal. So I think it's something that's going to happen with Rodrygo. Xabi Alonso has come in. He's yet to be given the keys. But as soon as he gets the keys, he's going to decide which players are going to play where and which players are going to be redundant to this Madrid project. And that is where I think Arsenal are waiting patiently. We are waiting for us to go. If we don't get Nico, if we don't get all these other players we want, and Xabi Alonso tells Rodrygo that you're not going to be part of my team, you're not going to be important to my setup, 100% Arsenal are going to pounce in. The asking price is about 8 million euros. That deal can be done 100%. Personal terms shouldn't be a problem if Arsenal are willing to give him the money that he actually wants. And I also think that if Arsenal don't go for a very big striker, if we miss out on maybe Gyökeres and we don't sign a striker for about 70 million, 80 million, Arsenal might actually transfer all these funds, because we know that Arsenal are willing to pay about 100 million or 90 million for Alexander Isak. So say we get a striker for about 60 million. There is an extra 30 million that we have not spent on this on the center forward. So if we can add a bit on that from player sales, Arsenal might actually be able to afford a big winger, maybe a Rafael for 80 million euros, maybe a Rodrigo for 75 million euros or 80 million euros, right about there. So it's a deal that can be done, but it depends on Xabi Alonso. Number one, either deciding to use Rodrigo or not use him. If he decides not to use him, then Arsenal can go and get the player. It also depends on the competition right about now. I've not heard of so many clubs interested, but the moment Madrid say, we are selling you, the moment Madrid say the manager is not going to use Rodrigo, I suspect City, I suspect Bayern, and even Liverpool. I won't be surprised if Liverpool proactively sign Rodrigo and then they wait for Mo Salah to leave in the summer, or maybe the summer before, the summer after this summer, and then they can get Rodrigo as their main winger. So at the moment, it looks like we are waiting for Xabi Alonso to put the last nail in the coffin. Now, Madrid are saying if they actually lose Rodrigo, or if they're going to lose Rodrigo, they don't have a problem. They're looking at Nico Williams as a potential replacement for Rodrigo goes at Real Madrid. Now, of course, they're trying to understand the situation and they're trying to understand the conditions and terms that it would take to trigger the release clause of Nico Williams, about 58 million euros. That is about 51 million pounds. So Madrid are saying they will trigger the release clause of Nico Williams if they get to sell Rodrigo, or if Alonso comes in and says, I want Nico Williams over Rodrigo. Of course, the problem with Madrid right now is that they've got so many left wingers, right? Rodrigo wants to play on the left. And then, of course, you've got Vinicius, who wants to play on the left, and Kylian Mbappe, who's a striker essentially, but wants to play on the left-hand side. So they've got so many left wingers, and they're looking for that one player that can be turned into a right winger. Initially, it was thought that that position would be taken on by Rodrigo, but sources are saying that he's not happy in that position. He's not happy with the way he's being used at Real Madrid, and there is a big possibility that he's going to ask for a way out. So lots of talk there. Madrid get Nico Williams, Arsenal get Rodrigo. Is it a good deal? First and foremost, for Mikel Arteta, I don't think it would be a good deal. I think Mikel Arteta loves Nico Williams. And what I know about Mikel, he loves profiles over names, right? Rodrigo is a bigger name, and of course he's played for Real Madrid, and he has done some big numbers. But Mikel Arteta cares about profiles over big names. He would go and sign a Benjamin White over a Denzel Dumfries. He'll go and sign someone like Gabriel Magalhaes over your big centre back, because he cares about profiles. He loves profiles. He wants players that can actually execute his orders and execute his tactical setups and plans to the detail. That's why he loves Matt Odegaard. That is why he loves Kai Havertz. That is why he loves players like Mikel Merino. Because in terms of executing the tactical plan, in terms of understanding the detail of the plan and executing it to the detail, they're absolutely fantastic. So for Mikel Arteta, Nico Williams going to Madrid and Rodrigo coming to Arsenal, it wouldn't be so bad, but he wouldn't really like it. And I'm gonna be honestly, right? I really would take Rodrigo at Arsenal in a heartbeat. There's not even a question. There's no question about that. Like, if you tell me, would you take Rodrigo at Arsenal? Right about now, 120%. I would take him over Nico Williams. I would take him over Rafael. I would take him over Kudus. I would take him over anyone that Arsenal are looking at as a winger. The only players that I wouldn't choose Rodrigo over would be Florian Wirtz, because Wirtz can play wide, but then he can also play in number 10, and Xavi Simons. I think that Arsenal would benefit a lot if we signed a Ryan Cherki or a Xavi Simons, because these guys can play as a 10 and then as a winger. But apart from those players that have got that versatility of a midfielder stroke a winger, I would check Rodrigo over any other player. But this video is about Nico Williams and Rodrigo. So the question, who is the better fit for Arsenal. I mean, we know that Rodrigo is such a better player, has done better numbers, played in the UCL, affected games, has won UCL titles, but who would be the better fit for Arsenal and Mikel Arteta right about now? So if you think about in terms of fit, and fit, if you're left-footed or right-footed, it really matters to Mikel Arteta. Because Mikel plays with an inverted winger. He plays with inverted wingers. You have Martinelli inverting on the left, and then you have Saka inverting on the right. Saka is left-footed, Martinelli is right-footed. So when you think about these two players, Rodrygo is predominantly right-footed. And of course, if you're gonna have him play on the left-hand side, he's gonna be an inverted winger. And we know he wants to play on the right and play as an inverted winger. Cut inside, shoot a lot of the time, and get closer to the penalty area. Of course, the advantage with that is that Arsenal would have a player that is so clinical, dangerous in front of goal, loves to score, and has scored a lot of big goals, getting into that penalty area and getting into those very dangerous zones. Nico Williams, on the other hand, is left-footed. And when it comes to Nico Williams, I don't want you to take his ability or his the fact that he's left-footed as a weakness. Actually, Arsenal would benefit a lot if we have a player that is naturally left-footed on the left and then an inverted left footer on the right. And the reason for that is it allows you to have two very different game plans within the same game right at the start of the game. So the first game plan is obviously what we know Arsenal doing. You get the ball and pump it into Saka. Saka cuts inside, and then he, just brings in those bananas and cows in those bananas into the top corners. He can do that. He can create chances doing that. And of course, Saka is such a very, very well-capable left footer who can also play on the with his right foot. But the second game plan, if you have a player like Nico Williams, would come on the transition. Of course, don't get me wrong, Saka is good on the transition as well. But because Nico Williams is naturally a left footer playing on the left, it just allows him to run direct. Those direct transitions, those direct counterattacks, they would actually be more effective if we have a player like Nico Williams playing directly on the left-hand side. A bit of how Manchester United used to use Marcus Rashford. So, in terms of being left-footed and right-footed, who is better for Arsenal right now? I'm going to go for Nico Williams. Like, we need a left-footed player in these transitions. We need a player that can just give us sheer, raw pace. And that is Nico Williams playing comfortably on the left-hand side. We have seen it with Spain. Spain are so devastating on the break. And one of the reasons why they're very devastating, yes, they've got players that can play the ball into the channels, but then you've got players like Nico Williams that run the channels very well. And if you think about Williams and Lamine Yamal, and then you think about Williams and Saka, it's kind of the same. Williams would be this guy that is afforded space to run into, and then Yamal at Spain, he always receives balls into a little bit deeper, into flat-footed zones. That is what Arsenal do with Saka. We never look to play the ball through for Saka. We always look to play the ball into the feet of Saka so that he can find a solution on his own. In terms of speed, Rodrigo versus Nico, I think in terms of speed generally, Rodrigo is a very quick player, but I'm going to go for Rodrigo for Nico as well. I think Nico is a fast player. Is it because I've taken a long time without giving Rodrigo enough time? But I think Nico, in terms of pace, is a much better player. Goals, Rodrigo. There's no question about that. Very clinical, very deadly and dangerous in front of goal. We have seen that in the Champions League. And he's got this never say die attitude that I love about players from Real Madrid and the old Alex Ferguson days, right? I love it. I just love those players that never give up. Rodrigo never gives up. Rodrigo, and I'm gonna do this video. Rodrigo is like Alexis Sanchez, guys. Like, he's like Alex Sanchez. He's that kind of signing that you bring in, raises the level, but he never gives up. The guy hunts and hunts and hunts. At times, of course, he will get overwhelmed and will have a bad game, but he's such a quality player in front of goal. In terms of big games, I think I would go for Rodrigo. And the reason for that, I have seen Nico Williams against Manchester United in the first leg of the semi-finals of the Europa League. He was absolutely trash. So I would go for Rodrigo in terms of big games. I've seen him play against Manchester City, and it was absolutely amazing. Creating chances, Nico Williams. Now, Rodrigo is a bit like Alexis Sanchez because he's a selfish player, and his selfishness benefits the team. But for Rodrigo, he's a selfless player, and obviously his selflessness is going to benefit the team through creating chances. We're going to sign in number 9. We're going to need someone to create chances. I think Nico Williams is a better player there. In terms of who is the better team player, I think it's Nico Williams. We have seen this with Spain. He's a much better player at understanding play and reading the game and knowing where Lamine Yamal is on the other end and where he should be, and knowing where Dani Olmo is in the middle of the park and where he should be. So Nico Williams is a much better player. In terms of who's the upgrade to Gabriel Martinelli, a much better upgrade, that is Rodrigo. He's a danger. He's a dangerous player. So he's a much better upgrade to Gabriel Martinelli. Who do we need? For me, I'm going to go with Rodrigo. I think Nico Williams has got elements that we need, but overall, it is Rodrigo in my opinion.